Figure family, this is WF, your Wrestling Figure Entertainment here with a new video for you guys. So I've been kidnapped and I'm being forced to cook spaghetti right now. So here in a minute I'm going to show you guys what we need to do. And yeah. So first we need to fill up our pan with water, the pan for the pasta. And just going to wait till it fills up. Now, I'd say you fill it up around 3/4 of the way full. So that's about good. And I'm gonna move it over to the stove. So now we're here back at the stove, and what you're gonna wanna do is turn it on to, I don't know, high, why not? And you're gonna want to put some salt in the water. And hold on, I'm gonna try and adjust it so you can see me. But you can still see the stove. That's it, that's good. So yeah, what you're gonna want to do is put some salt in the water. Not too much, but not a ton. Put a fair amount. But now, never ever put oil in the water or you're going to jail for 69 years. So yeah, we're gonna wait for that to boil and then we're gonna cook the spaghetti. So while you're waiting for the water to boil, you're going to cook your meat. Start off by putting a little olive oil or butter, doesn't really matter, but I have olive oil right here. Not too much, just enough to get a thin coat around the whole bottom of it. Spin it around and twist it and whatnot as needed to get it all over the bottom. So now that it's hot like that, turn on the heat. Turn it on, I don't know, medium or so. Put in your meat. Grab your spatula and cut up the meat. Now, you don't want it too thin, like you don't want it too fine. So start out by just like cutting it into chunks like hold on, like a meatball size chunk, I guess. We're not making meatballs, but just start it off like that. Now I'm going to turn mine down a little bit more. It's a bit too hot. Just start it on low, pretty low. And then after that, you want to put on the lid. And you know, don't walk away from the stove because you don't want your stuff to burn. But just pay attention to it, but don't really bother it too much. And yeah, the next part will be a time lapse of me just cooking this stuff. So now that the water is boiling, we're going to want to put pasta into the water. So I'm going to use about half of the box. But before we put it in there, we have to break it. I'm kidding, of course. You never break the spaghetti either, or I'm going to come to your house and stab you with the spaghetti. And now we're just going to let that sit and, well, let them soften up and become edible. So I think our meat is done. Now, when you think the meat is done, I recommend to let it sit for another 5 minutes because you want to make sure it's done, which I have already done that. So now we need to drain it. Now we're going to put the meat back into the pan. Pan back on the stove. And put this bowl off to the side for now. And now we're going to rinse out the strainer. Now, there's many ways you can drain grease from hamburger. You don't have to do it this way, but this is one of the ways that you can do it. One of the much easier ways. And we're rinsing this because we're also going to use this to drain the pasta. So now we're done with that, and I'm going to go back over to the pasta. So our pasta is done now too. I didn't say this, but I'd say let it boil for about 10 minutes. That's usually about what it takes. But now when you drain pasta, you flip it away from you, because if you flip it towards you, like this, some hot water could splash on you, and you don't want that. That's not going to feel good. So now we're going to put that over back on the stove. Drain this real good. Flip it around, toss it, whatever. Just make sure a lot of the water's out. It's fine if there's still some. But now we're going to go back over the stove. And now just let the pasta sit for a little bit. Let the water drain out more. So now you're going to want to season your meat. You can use pretty much anything you'd like. And I'm going to use some Himalayan pink salt. Not a ton because this stuff is very strong. Along with some peppercorn medley. Hey, hold your horses, Brad. And I'm also going to use some garlic powder. and some onion powder. Not a ton of either because they're pretty similar. And that's not what I was hoping it was. There we go. And finally, to top it off, some chili powder. And now your meat should be seasoned pretty darn good. Mix it around. Make sure it's spread evenly and whatnot. Make sure one doesn't have a ton on it, and when you bite into it, you make a weird face because there's some seasoning on it. Just spread it around. And you know what? I can just spin it like this. This is probably a better way to do that. Just do it gently, not too hard, or else your meat could fly out. I'd say that's pretty good. Now you're gonna want to put in your sauce. You can use anything, and I'm gonna be using some tomato, basil, garlic, Prego sauce. Depending on how much meat you have, like how many pounds of meat you have, whatever. If you have 1 pound of meat, which I'm using, you use 1 jar of sauce. If you have 2 pounds of meat, 2 jars of sauce, just keep on going. Now, just mix that around with your spatula. Now, you're going to want to go back over to your pasta, sink, and dump in your noodles right here. Mix that around real well. And also, I forgot to mention this, but when you're cooking your meat, you're not going to want to keep it in those meatball chunks like I said. Chop it up eventually, not real fine, but you want some chunks in there because thin meat is just not disgusting, but you can't really taste it that well. And I like chunks, I like the texture. And, I'd say that's pretty mixed up. That's mixed up pretty darn good. So now, you can decide what to put yours on. I'm going to put mine on a plate. You can put it in a bowl too. It doesn't really matter, but I'm going to use a plate. I'd say that's good. I'm just going to leave the rest in there for now. Now for the taste test. So, I'm going to put some Parmesan cheese on it because you can't have spaghetti without Parmesan cheese. That's illegal, by the way. Now, let's see how it tastes. It tastes pretty good, Brad. Yep. So, this was cooking spaghetti. Do it like this. I or I'm gonna come to your house and kidnap you. Because if you break the spaghetti, put olive oil in the water, don't put Parmesan cheese on it, you're gonna have really bad luck. Forever. Kind of like when you see a black cat, you know? Except it's gonna be for cooking spaghetti wrong. This is how you cook spaghetti like a god. See you in the next video. Thank you.